not a lot of time to get down to the grand opening of the second restaurant opened by the guys over at Sam's Burgers. So we are in top 3 burger in the world. Sam's Pizza and Burgers is delivering a second spot. I think it's called the Sam's Pita Bar, Sam's East. It's going to be right next to the original. It's going to be right next to the original Sam's. So this is 49ers intel from the driverless car heading up to North Beach. We're going to be talking about the 49ers defense and how they might perform against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Because today we heard from Nick Bosa and from Fred Warner. Only from 49ers defensive players today. We're probably going to get Brock Purdy and some offensive players at the second practice in Santa Clara of the Super Bowl bye week, technically. Although the bye week has ended now that the 49ers are installing their game plan. But we're probably going to hear about the offense next week. This week, it's all about, or tomorrow, we're probably going to hear all about the offense tomorrow. Today, it was all about the 49ers defense, which has been concerning for this team. And Fred Warner and Nick Bosa both acknowledged that. I thought that the most interesting thing was when Nick Bosa talked about watching tape of Super Bowl 54 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And he said that he gets sweats when he's watching the tape because he obviously gets riled up. The 49ers blow the lead at the end and lose the game. But he said that it's also surprisingly fun to watch the tape because for over 3 quarters, the 49ers dominated Kansas City back in 2019. And I will say this, that was a much better Kansas City offense. It was also much better 49ers defense. So the matchup on that side of the ball has actually downgraded over the years since these two teams last met in the Super Bowl. The 49ers, however, I think are closer to the personnel that they had in Super Bowl 54 on defense than Kansas City is to having the personnel that they had in Super Bowl 54 on offense. And the big reason for that is no Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the guy that opened up the entire field with his speed for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's obviously in Miami now. So you're seeing a much less explosive Kansas City offense. And Nick Bosa's comment today was the 49ers need to try to bring back the magic of that 2019 defensive performance for 3+ quarters in the Super Bowl. And they need to resuscitate that and bring it back with the very similar personnel that they have now. Obviously no DeForest Buckner, but they have Javon Hargrave instead. They have Javon Kinlaw playing his best football. He's leading all defensive tackles in the NFL in tackles this year. They have a better secondary than they did back then. The cornerback position is playing some lockdown football for the 49ers right now between Charvarius Ward and Deommodore Lenoir. And I don't think that pass defense has been all that big of a problem. Obviously, they had the couple bad plays where Ambry Thomas, the third cornerback, was victimized against the Green Bay Packers. But I'm not so sure that Kansas City has the passing apparatus, the receivers, to challenge the 49ers in the same way that the Green Bay Packers did. It's the run defense that remains the biggest problem for the 49ers. Number 26 EPA. Obviously, we saw Detroit run at them in almost historic fashion in the NFC Championship game. The Lions were on pace to do worse damage against the 49ers than the 49ers did to the Green Bay Packers in the 2019 season NFC Championship game through the first half. 148 yards, 7 yards per carry. It was ugly. And I think Isaiah Pacheco and the Chiefs have the ability to do some stuff against the 49ers run defense if San Francisco is not ready in this game. Remember the game last season when the Chiefs came into Levi Stadium and won? A lot of misdirection stuff from Kansas City that I think put Nick Bosa on skates. Nick Bosa had one of his worst games. He wasn't ready for a lot of the counters and the misdirections that Andy Reid had dialed up for the Chiefs. And it was really the run game that was the biggest problem for the 49ers. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes, the pass game. The fact that they could not sufficiently stop the run, the fact they were getting so fooled by the misdirection stuff, so I wouldn't say trick plays, but some of the gimmicks at the line of scrimmage, the fact that the 49ers weren't ready to defend those meant that the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes in their pass game had a field day offensively. I think that same concern, even though the 49ers run defense was better last year and they ultimately figured it out, that same concern is now magnified in this matchup against the Chiefs because the run defense hasn't been as good under Steve Wilkes. From a secondary perspective, yeah, maybe the 49ers are ready for defending Patrick Mahomes with Charvarius Ward and Deommodore Lenoir. But those guys are not in position to get the job done unless the run is stopped in front of them. And they're part of it too. Deommodore Lenoir and Charvarius Ward, they've got to crash the edges. They've got to come down from that secondary level and stop the run too. But I think this is more on gap alignment from the front four for San Francisco out of the wide nine. It's about edge setting. It's about discipline. And it's about that linebacker level properly flowing down to the football. If one guy's out of place, as I think was the case multiple times, and it wasn't just a singular one guy, it was different guys every time. But if one guy is out of place, then the run defense can look really bad because you're playing at the highest level of competition at this point, right? The Detroit Lions ran the ball really, really effectively. The Kansas City Chiefs run really effectively. I don't think that they're as good of a running offense as Detroit was, but Isaiah Pacheco, he's a brick, man. That guy is a ball of muscle. He can get the job done. And if the 49ers are not on their P's and Q's again, as far as run defense goes, well, it's going to be bad news because last week it was Jared Goff who was the quarterback that was the supporting pass offense to a really good run offense. If you can't stop the run this week, you don't back into Jared Goff. You back into Patrick Mahomes, who's a whole heck of a lot better. We're going to take a look here in a second to see if City Hall is lit up in 49ers colors. Well, I'll roll down the window. No, it is not. City Hall today is red, white, and blue. So we're going to be expecting 49ers colors, the red and gold, later this week. But for tonight, red, white, and blue at City Hall on February 1st. There you go, San Francisco City Hall. Now, other landmarks in the city have been lit up in red and gold. It is raining, though, tonight, so it's a little bit harder to see out of the car, as you can tell. I don't have a driver. I have AI driving me right now here on Waymo. But other spots of the city have been lit up in red and gold. The Ghirardelli Square sign, that's really cool. Oh, look, the windshield wipers are working on the car. That's nice, even though I don't think the car needs the windshield wipers. I guess maybe they're just trying to make it a better experience for me here as we roll up Franklin Street. Here, you'll see. Let's give it a second. Windshield wipers, they're going. Remember last time I was complaining in the rain that the windshield wipers in the car weren't working, and I was trying to get them to work, and I leaned over here and I touched this, and they called me, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna kick you off the platform if you touch the wheel again." I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm not touching the wheel. I'm just trying to promote your driverless car." But they got mad because I thought that this side was going to be the windshield wipers. I was all disoriented. Look at this thing. This thing it sees yellow and it speeds up, just like a real California driver. How are we going to do with this one? 5 seconds, 4. Oh, easy. We're going to make this one really, really easily. This one's going to be closer, though. I don't think we're making this one. Yeah, that's a good thing. I think if we would have sped up at this yellow, they might have lost their license to operate these driverless cars. That wouldn't have been good. All right, so 49ers run defense, obviously so important against the Chiefs. Kansas City's offensive line ranks number 1 in the NFL in pass block win rate. What happened to the Chiefs is they got, for 3+ quarters against the 49ers in 2019, they got worked up front. Nick Bosa had one of the most monstrous performances you'll see in a single game from an edge rusher. He had 14 pressures against the Kansas City Chiefs in that game, and they were holding him all game. That was something that Nick Bosa today is like, yeah, the Chiefs just hold all the time. We all knew that. The 3rd and 15 big-time holding from Kansas City, the officials didn't call it, but Nick Bosa was dominating that game. The way that Patrick Mahomes was able to stay alive over the course of the game was those super deep dropbacks, right? He dropped back 15+ yards to get away from an offensive line that was just getting beaten badly by the San Francisco 49ers. So that was the gist of what happened. Oh, I thought we were going to be turning right here. I guess not. Look at us past this bus. Cool. that was the gist of what happened. The Chiefs were able to withstand just getting their asses kicked up front for 3+ quarters, and then when they hit that Tyreek Hill play, that wasn't Nick Bosa's fault. That wasn't a lack of pass rush for the 49ers. That was a lack of a holding call, and it was a bust in the secondary for San Francisco. Once they hit that play, the offense got rolling, and then the game kind of tilted against the 49ers. But the Chiefs were spanked up front for the majority of that game. The next season, the Chiefs had a bunch of injuries in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they were completely annihilated up front. So what happened after that is that Kansas City said, hey, this is unsustainable. We're not going to be able to win another Super Bowl if we go with the same offensive line that got destroyed by Kansas City in the 2020 season Super Bowl. So the Chiefs invested really heavily in their offensive line in subsequent years. The best player on that line is the left guard, Joe Thuney, who has a torn pectoral muscle and is probably going to miss the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs have gotten up to #1 pass block win rate. They've done a great job protecting Patrick Mahomes, but their best offensive lineman might miss the Super Bowl. So to me, I look at Javon Hargrave and I look at Javon Kinlaw, 2 defensive tackles who are going to be doing a lot of lining up over left guard, a backup left guard in all likelihood. And I say these guys need to have a big game for the 49ers. They need to pressure Patrick Mahomes up the gut. Now you look at Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, the left and the right tackle respectively. These guys for the Chiefs have committed a ton of penalties this year. So the pass block win rate might be fine, but between both of them, you've got 30+ penalties. You've got nearly 20 holding calls between both of them. I mean, it isn't pretty for the Chiefs tackles. And Nick Bosa said it today. He's referring a little bit to the Super Bowl where holding wasn't called, but he's also referring to the fact that both of these guys hold a lot. The 49ers can get the Chiefs into a lot of bad down and distance situations if the officials throw holding flags, as they've been throwing all season against the Chiefs offensive tackles. Now, it's up to Nick Bosa and it's up to Chase Young as we make the climb here up Nob Hill, by the way. I love when these cars go up these steep hills. This is quintessential San Francisco. It's up to Nick Bosa and it's up to Chase Young to put the offensive tackles into position where they have to hold, where they're committing those penalties. And then if you get the Chiefs into negative down and distance, 2nd and 20, 3rd and 15, that's where they're not going to be nearly as good as they were a few years ago, because they had Tyreek Hill a few years ago. And when they had Tyreek Hill, life was easier on 2nd and 3rd and long. The talk about the Chiefs this year, and the stats flesh it out, is they've been nowhere near as explosive as they've been in the past. The 49ers are the team with the explosive offense now. Kansas City isn't. So I think that's the weakness that you have to attack if you're the 49ers. Now, the only way that you do attack it, though, is if you stop the run. Again, you have to keep the Chiefs behind the chains, and that has to happen by stopping the run. And that is the 49ers' one big vulnerability. I'm curious to see it. Look, the car has it sees this bus, the one California, blocking the street. So the car is recalculated. It said, screw that. I'm going to turn left. I'm going to get around that bus. Watch, we're going to turn right up here on Washington, on the top of Nob Hill. We are not letting buses get in our way. So now as we turn onto Washington, we have found the hole. The 49ers cannot allow the Chiefs to get running lanes the way that this driverless car is finding driving lanes. This is the kind of stuff that Christian McCaffrey needs to run through. Against the Chiefs' run defense that hasn't been good this year, by the way, on the other side of the ball. But this car is teaching us a lesson about the run game. By the way, nice view. Do you guys see it? That's the Bay Bridge. These are cable car tracks that I'm on. That's the Bay Bridge in front of me. That's the new half of the Bay Bridge on the Oakland side. And now look at us rolling down the hill. You guys want me to risk my phone's safety? Here we go. Look at that. Transamerica Pyramid. We're making another turn. Oh, we're gonna have, I don't know if I'll be able to see here. We're gonna have a nice view down Russian Hill or down Nob Hill from one of these. But we made our way around the bus. There's the bus. Look, that's the bus that we just beat. We need a turn before this bus goes. I am so proud of this car. We have made it ahead of the bus. We went around the block. The bus is now behind us. That is smart driving right there. That is AI smart driving as we make our way down Nob Hill. You guys have to admit that you're impressed by that. This is a robot driving, and it said it saw the bus, and it said, I'm going around that bus. I'm not going to wait for it. 49ers need to have a few tricks like that up their sleeve. Oh, look, we found buildings lit up in 49ers colors. You see the top of the, I know it's bouncing right now, as Pat McAfee would joke when I was on his show, it's an earthquake. You see the Embarcadero Center? Here, we can roll down the window so you can actually see it. Rain makes it really hard to do shows like this. But look at that, the Embarcadero Center, red and gold trim at the very top, right by the Transamerica Pyramid. So you have skyscrapers lit up for the 49ers. You have the Salesforce Tower lit up. City Hall tonight is red, white, and blue, but they'll get City Hall lit up a little bit later this week. 49ers, red and gold. I'm 7 minutes away from Sam's. Sam's, the iconic burger place. Maybe I'll stay on when I get out here. I got a cable car to show you. The cable car is going to stop right in front of us. Now, I believe the driverless car is smart enough to not go and hit the cable car. It is. And the cable car continues. Nobody needed to get off. That's Powell Street. That cable car is headed to Union Square. This is a cool scenic route. We're going to dip down, as you can see that Embarcadero Center with the red and gold lights. We're going to dip down, I'm guessing, to Kearney or someplace like that, and then cut up to North Beach. So we're dipping down through, I would say, Chinatown at this point. Nice scenic drive for you through San Francisco. And North Beach is the Italian neighborhood. Sam's is on Broadway with their mural of Candlestick Park. I will... If we stop at a reasonable spot, it's going to be tough to stop on Broadway. I'll walk into Sam's and show you the iconic Candlestick mural because it is that type of week. We need to be featuring stuff like that. As far as the Chiefs receiving corps goes, I think they've done a good job of shielding those guys from the pressure that was causing a lot of drops earlier this year. But I think the 49ers match up tremendously well with the Chiefs receivers. Again, Charvarius Ward and Diamond Lenore have been fantastic this postseason. It's Travis Kelce that, as he goes, so does the Chiefs offense go. So goes the Chiefs offense. I think I should speak better than I just did. So here's Chinatown, by the way, as we roll down. You see these nice little back alleys in Chinatown. I love this part of town. There's Grant Avenue. That is the main artery of Chinatown. So yeah, we're going down to, I think, Kearney, we're going to turn left here on Kearney by Portsmouth Square, and we're going to head up to North Beach. But Travis Kelce is the centerpiece of this Kansas City offense, and the 49ers will cover him in a bunch of different ways. You'll see a safety on him at times. I think he moves really well to the point where it's tough for, and not necessarily speed-wise, but it's tough for linebackers to cover him just because of how fluidly he moves his body. So safeties are a little bit more agile, and I think that helps against Travis Kelce. But whatever the 49ers run against him, that's probably going to be the most important pass game assignment that they execute on defense. Because if Mahomes doesn't have Kelce, again, we are in the post-Tyreek Hill era. If he doesn't have Kelce, who he usually has, then things break down for Kansas City. It hasn't been the number one offense this year. Mahomes is great. Nobody's denying that. He's been able to pull rabbits out of his hat this year. He's playing his best football right now. That's all indisputable. That is all true. But what also is very apparent is if you can do a good job on Travis Kelce, then you're probably going to do a good job against the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a reason why Kelce has been playing well here. There's a reason why the Chiefs have been playing well. It's because Kelce's been playing well. He and Mahomes have a rapport that few other duos in NFL history have had. The rapport between Mahomes always knows where Kelce is when the play is breaking down. Obviously, Kelsey did damage against the 49ers in Super Bowl 54. He is a problem, and the 49ers need to be able to confront that problem in this game. However they cover him, if they bracket him with two guys, if they're running a zone defense that sets them up for good pass rushing with a nice blitz, it's going to vary throughout the course of the game. But the reason the 49ers brought Steve Wilks in, it was to improve the coverage combinations. I know that those have improved. I know that the run defense has regressed. You've got to do both. But when you're on pass defense, Travis Kelce is the focal point that you have to stop if you're the San Francisco 49ers. All right, we made it to the iconic Francis Ford Coppola building. The director of The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, owns this building. It's a Flatiron style building. That's Cafe Zoetrope in the bottom floor. A good place to eat. But I've always loved this building, and I've always loved the view that's coming up as soon as we get a green light. We're officially in North Beach, as you can tell from the Italian flags on the lampposts. But the minute that we clear this building, and you might have seen it the other night in a video or a picture that I posted of the Embarcadero Center, we will see the Transamerica Pyramid, and it's going to be a sight to behold. It's one of the famous San Francisco vistas. You look straight down Columbus Avenue to the Transamerica Pyramid. Kansas City's offense, by the way, on top of the good pass block win rate, with Isaiah Pacheco and the way that he's running this year, they have a good run block win rate to show for it too. There it is, Transamerica Pyramid. That's an epic reveal, isn't it? Nice stuff here in San Francisco as we're about to make that turn onto Broadway. So I'm also at Sam's. The run blocking, though, not nearly as good as the pass blocking. Kansas City has invested in pass blocking. That's been their thing. Invest in the line, but you don't have Joe Thuney, that left guard, so that might be an opening for the 49ers. But invest in the line. Invest in Mahomes, obviously, $400+ million. Invest in Kelsey. But the wide receiver core has been a revolving door for Kansas City. And they've figured that if they invest in protection and invest in their quarterback and Patrick Mahomes and his main outlet and Travis Kelce, they figured they can make the rest of this work, assuming that the run game can give the offense enough of a crutch. And so far that's been true. They've made it all the way to the Super Bowl. It's still a top 10 offense. It just isn't the blow the roof off offense that it was with Tyreek Hill and with Sammy Watkins that the 49ers faced in 2019. So we are on Broadway here in North Beach. There's the famous City Lights bookstore. Here's a look up Columbus. And I don't know where exactly we're going to stop, but everybody take care. The car is pulling over. That's been 49ers intel from the driverless car. I'll let you know how the new restaurant is. We're going to have a new food recommendation. Everybody take care.